Hi guys, welcome back to Crypto Chester. My name is Chester, and today I'll be walking you through the crypto markets. First things first, I'm going to be starting with a short term of Bitcoin, and that's on the hourly chart here. Then we're going to be moving to the mid-term of Bitcoin, and that's on the 4-hourly chart there. Then we're going to be moving to the long term of Bitcoin. The question we're asking today is, are we entering a bear market, right? We have just lost the bull market barrier on the long term here. So I will be discussing that when we go to when we cover the long term of Bitcoin. But let me start off with the short term of Bitcoin. At this point in time, as discussed on yesterday's stream, we do have this sideways price channel, right? We do have the sideways price channel. It was nice and healthy, right? Well, it is a nice and healthy trade in a sense, right? We did discuss, my prediction yesterday was we come up and we test the 55 moving average continuously, right? We consolidated along it here, and then we just basically fell off a cliff, right? And that is basically what happened and what I said was going to happen. I said we were going to come down and test the lower side of this price channel here, but I did not anticipate in us breaking it, right? I did not anticipate in us breaking it to the lower side. I woke up this morning to a $38,000 500 Bitcoin, right? Absolutely crazy stuff. New lower lows for Bitcoin. Not great for the whole crypto market in general, because obviously we all follow BTC. Well, all the altcoins follow BTC, right? But now, right, if I was awake at 2 a.m., right? If I was awake at 2 a.m. and trading crypto for a long time, you learn that you can't just sit and watch the charts all night, or you go crazy and you get no sleep, right? That's the thing with 24-hour markets. But yeah, so we did actually dump off a cliff here. We did break this this volume weighted ATR band that we've got coming down here, which, as you can see, we primarily respect, right? We did break it. And now we are coming up to test it again. And that's the indication whether we're going to get rejected off it again and see another lower low for Bitcoin, or we're going to break through it and come up and test the 21 moving average and potentially the price action channel here, right? In terms of a measure move, if you're awake and you saw this channel and you got in that trade, we would have been looking something along the lines of this, right? If you got in just as we dumped. Obviously, I prefer to get in at the retest, but there was no retest here, right? You would have made around a nice near enough 7% gain, right? That's a 7% trade in a short position for Bitcoin. And as I said, I probably would not have entered it because obviously we are still technically in a bull market, right? It is scary times, but we are still in a bull market. Fingers crossed, right? Just gonna have a drink of water. In terms of what I think is going to happen for the short term of Bitcoin, let's bring up the RSI quickly. We were testing this yesterday, right? We were testing the top side of the RSI trend line that we've got going on here, right? We were testing the top side, and that's why I said we're likely to get rejected off the 55 moving average here. And we did, right? We got rejected off it. We became seriously oversold last night. Seriously oversold, and now we're on the point of where we're buying it back. We're buying it back, potentially coming up to test the top side, the bottom side of this trend on the RSI, right? So that's definitely something to consider when trading today, because we could be coming up, we could be testing it. That could indicate we could be coming up to test this side, the bottom side of this price channel that we've got here, right? And I'll get to the midterm in a minute for another chart pattern for an indication of the price, right? But that's definitely something to consider, right? It's definitely something to consider in terms of the price of Bitcoin now. We're around, well, we're near enough dead on 40K, right? $40,000, right? So if we can get enough buying power, what I'm saying is $40,000 for a Bitcoin is cheap. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows Bitcoin is dumped down in price. So a lot of the big corporations, if they can see a reversal in the trend here, it's gonna see a big spike in Bitcoin. It's gonna be pushing it up. It's gonna be pushing up, and we're gonna see some sort of recovery. Hopefully, we're gonna see some sort of recovery, right? And that would indicate to come up on the RSI, test the bottom side of this trend line, and potentially break through and set some sort of new buying power trend, right? That's what we need. That's what we need for the short term, right? That's what we need for the short term of Bitcoin. If not, we're probably going to come up, test the top side of this channel, test the top side of this trend line on the RSI, and then see some sort of rejection from there. I don't see us creating another lower low unless we are in a confirmed bear market, and I'll get to that when we cover the bull market barrier in a minute, right? Right now, the MACD, the MACD, we are currently in a downtrend on the MACD. We did have that bullish crossover, and we haven't actually recovered from our lower low that we've just covered, that we just hit on Bitcoin, right? And that was literally like, what, an hour ago? Yeah, it's just crazy. So we are in a position where the markets could keep going down. They could keep going down, and we could have a really red day in terms of the top 50 cryptos, right? in terms of the top 50 cryptos, what we ideally need right now is a bullish crossover, smashing through this volume weighted ATR band, this green line here, right? Oh, that's a bit bad. Yeah, this green line here. We need to smash through that and come up and start hitting these moving averages, right? Start hitting these moving averages and find some support on this resistance that we've got here down at, well, up at 42,498, right? If we can find some support on that and basically start some sort of wave up and then find support on the next point of resistance at 47, then that's going to be, it's basically what we need, right? I'm praying for that to happen because I don't want us to enter a bear market right now. It's going to affect everyone's portfolios, and Bitcoin itself. I mean, if we are going to see a reversal in the price, it's going to be a great buying opportunity, right? But yeah, back to the MACD, rambling on again, right? At this point, we saw this dump last night, right? We saw the lower low for Bitcoin, and we saw us tap this line on the MACD, right? We saw us tap this line on the MACD. And if you were looking at trading this, you would have seen us come down, and that would have been an indication for this is the lower point of the move that we had last night, right? Because you just said we'd have potentially respected this line. We've only had 2 touches on it previously, so the likelihood of us respecting it is quite high, right? Now, that brings me on, because obviously this trend cycle that we've got going on here on the downside of the MACD is still valid, right? It's still valid if we don't see some sort of next big reversal in the price over the next, few hours or so, and then we see a lower low for Bitcoin. If that is to happen, we're going to see a new trend cycle for the MACD here. We're going to see a new trend cycle for the MACD, and that will basically invalidate this trend line on the downside of the MACD here, and then we're going to basically see lower lows continuously, right? And I don't want that for Bitcoin. But in terms of the upside right now, for the MACD right now, on the short term, we're looking something along the lines of we've kind of more or less just broke the trend to the upside on the previous uptrend that we had here. And as you can see, we did have a lot of buying power in terms of inside this price channel, right? We had a lot of buying power, as you can see here, in terms of this price channel, and that caused us to break this cycle that we had going on here, right? It caused us to break this cycle that we had going on here. So in terms of the next cycle, in terms of a trend line for the MACD, right? If we're going to come up and test this volume weighted ATR band and break it, we do also have the 10 moving average that we need to break as well. And as you can see, through this price channel to the bottom side of the price channel, we did respect it, and then we did consolidate into this sort of potentially a triangle, well, not triangle pattern, but more of a channel, more of a mini channel in a channel, right? That sort of consolidation area. So we do know at this point we are respecting this 10 moving average. So that is an indication as well that we could be taking another leg down to see another lower low for Bitcoin. If that is to happen, the volume weighted ATR band will follow it, right? It will follow it, and we'll probably see something along the lines of this, right? And hopefully we can break through it from there. But if we're trending below the volume weighted ATR band, it's likely that we're going to stay there for a while, and there is a potential short position to think about, right? At this point in time, I'm not comfortable shorting Bitcoin because it could just be a massive shakeout in terms of all the new retail people that have got into crypto in general, right? So that is definitely something to think about when executing your positions. But in terms of a new cycle for the MACD, back to that, in terms of a new cycle for the MACD, we're not sure where we're going to come, because we need to basically break this volume weighted ATR and this 10 moving average that we've got going on here, right? If we can break that and come up and test the 21, it's likely that we're going to see some sort of lower high here on the MACD, right? We're going to see some lower high, and that's going to be a confirmation of a nice trend line on the MACD for the short term. But yeah, so that's sort of my prediction for Bitcoin itself on the short term. I would basically watch what we're happening here. If we can break the price of, say if we can get over around 40.41, then that's a bit more confirmation that we're going to see a reversal in this trend, and we're going to see some sort of upwards buying pressure, but that would indicate another test of this trend line on the MACD, right? So that's definitely something to consider. Right now, let's move to the midterm for Bitcoin. The midterm for Bitcoin, okay? The midterm for Bitcoin, as you can see, we do have this falling wedge, right? We do have this falling wedge, and this is the 4-hourly chart, if you guys want to bring this up. We do have this falling wedge here, and if we're looking, basically we're looking at finding support at this point in time. We lost it when we dumped throughout the night while I was sleeping. We lost it, and we're currently finding support on this 40k, just under 40k mark, right? This trend line to the downside that we've got. potentially move that up, right? Yeah, just like that. Yeah, so it's more of a channel, actually. It's more of a channel towards the downside. And it's looking in terms of health. Yeah, in terms of health, it's looking quite healthy. We don't have we have quite a few touches to the upside and the downside, right? We have quite a few touches to the upside and the downside. So, as you can see here, we are finding support on the lower side of this channel. If we can come up and test this level of resistance at 42.8 and find support on there, we could be looking at some sort of measure move to the upside, right? Some sort of measure move to the upside for this channel would look along the lines of this, right? Obviously, depending where we're going to break along this channel. If we're going to break just as we cover this horizontal resistance point and we find support on it, then we're going to be moving up, and then we're going to be testing this this giant wedge. Which we've been in for God knows how long. For a long time, right? We've been in this wedge for a long time, since 25th of March, right? This is when it all started, right? So if we can find a measure move off this current wedge that we're in, right, to the upside, we can be looking at testing this trend line to the downside of this giant wedge that we've got. If we can break that, find support on that, then we're going to reclaim the wedge, and that's kind of what I want for Bitcoin right now, because we need some upwards buying power. We need some reclamation. That's not a word. Reclamation of. I did actually Google it. It's not a word. Of this wedge, right? If we can get some reclamation of this wedge, then that would be ideal for Bitcoin and ideal for crypto and altcoins in general. But you do have to remember with altcoins, a lot of the market cap isn't actually money invested in actual uses, right? It's actually invested just by traders trying to make the money, right? So if trading is going to fall off for crypto, then a lot of the market caps are going to reduce significantly, and that will obviously drive the price down a hell of a lot. And we could see some great accumulation zones for the future. But yeah, in terms of trading right now for the midterm, if we get this measure move to the upside and it's a position, if we find support on this horizontal resistance line currently, we're going to be looking at a nice 7.5% trade there. That's definitely something to think about. I probably wouldn't expect that measure move to come all the way up unless we broke further down in this falling channel that we've got here. If we broke further down, I wouldn't expect it to come. I would expect it to come up and test this trend line here. But if we broke pretty imminently, if we had some insane buying power from Bitcoin, right, and broke it around this point over this horizontal resistance line currently, if we were to get there, buy up from there, and then I would probably take profit at this trend line here, right? Because obviously we know we've got resistance here. We've got resistance in previous price action. So we are looking at some potential rejection from, that's the wrong tool. We are looking at some potential rejection from there, looking maybe something like that, and then coming to test this lower side of this this falling channel that we've got here. If we break to the upside, right? That's if we don't set a lower low for Bitcoin. But in terms of scenarios, you do have to play out what all these different scenarios to get an edge on what you think is actually going to happen, right? So in terms of what I think could happen and what I think is kind of likely, if we just extend this channel, because at this point in time it's pretty healthy to the downside. I can't see us breaking it and getting a measure move down, but in terms of if you've got any short people out there that are really dying to go short of Bitcoin, then if you're looking for a short position, wait for us to break this channel. Measure move down will be all the way down to 32. Heartbreaking in my opinion, right? But in terms of a trade, you're looking at a nice 15.5% there. So that's definitely something to consider if you're out there looking for a short for Bitcoin. You're evil if you are. But yeah, hopefully we can find a nice level of support on this trend line, on this downwards channel that we've got here. And then we can come up, test the top side, test this level of resistance at 42. Obviously, we could break up. At this point in time, I don't think there's enough buying power to break up. But if we do, that's a great trade there as discussed. But we're likely to have some sort of rejection from this resistance point here and then see some sort of riding this channel down, right, as we have been doing, riding this channel down, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market, and the only thing that I can see for us breaking out of this channel is Elon doing a madness, right? Elon doing a madness and doing a Trump on Twitter and just tweeting crazy stuff about Bitcoin and crypto, and that'll obviously pump the price. So keep an eye on his Twitter, right? No, I'm joking, right? But yeah, definitely. This is my prediction, right? This is definitely my prediction for the midterm for Bitcoin. So yeah, I think we're just going to keep progressing down, setting very minor lower lows. Minor lower lows. I don't think we're going to see some insane dumpage, deep sea diving for Bitcoin like we did last night. I don't think we're going to be seeing that. but I do think we are going to be having a bit of buying power, and then probably testing this resistance, and then just sort of trickling down from there, just because there's so much uncertainty in the market right now. Straight to, let's do a little bit of the RSI. It's kind of the same thing for the for the midterm for Bitcoin, as it is on the short term, right? As it is on the short term here, we are going to need to come up and test this top side, right, of the trend on the RSI. For the midterm, it's the same sort of thing. We are near enough oversold, so we are looking at some buying power from there. And that's basically another indication that we're going to come up and test this level of resistance here, right? So if we do, we're probably going to see some sort of swift rejection, and that is another reason why I think we're going to come down from this level of resistance and testing this trend line here, right? And that's basically what's going to happen on the RSI. If it doesn't happen, we will be setting a new trend here, and that could initiate a break to the upside, right? Definitely something to consider. Trying to use new words instead of think about. In terms of the MACD right now, we're flaccid. We're a flaccid MACD. Flaccid MACD right now. There's not a lot going on. Not a lot of major trend cycles to think about. Even this dominant trend that we have here. Let's get the right tool. Even the dominant trend that we have here on this lower low, it could be looking something like this, but still, if we are going to see some sort of break to the downside on the MACD, we will be setting a new trend cycle, and that would basically initiate a drop in the price. So if you're looking at trading this right now, if you're looking at a short position, then if we do break this, falling price channel that we've got here, then look for a break as well on the MACD, right? If you look for a break as well on the MACD, and we do break it in terms of a pattern, in terms of a trend pattern on the MACD, right? Then we will be setting a new cycle, right? We will be setting a new cycle, and it could be a pretty big dump, right? But that is obviously on the predation. I don't know if that's a word. I know it's a word, but I don't know if the meaning's right. Got to work on that. Then obviously on predation, if we dump to the lower side, look at it on the MACD, and we could see some sort of correlation there, right? That's sort of the midterm for Bitcoin. We do have this volume weighted ATR band to think about as well, which we have lost on the short term as well, right? We have lost on the short term as well, and we are currently testing it. If we do find support on it on the short term, we're going to be looking at coming up and testing it on the midterm, right? And that will basically initiate that we're going to, if we find support around this point on the short term, we're looking to come up and rebound it on the short term, right? Rebound it on the short term, come up and test this horizontal resistance point, and that'll basically bring us up around this point in terms of this channel, right? So that's an indication that we are going to go up if we can find support on this volume weighted ATR band here, right? So check out for that, look out for that. Another indication across from the midterm that we are going to come up and test this top side of this channel, right? So yeah, look for the price clearing around 40,800 and holding on the hourly time frame. If that happens, we are likely to see a surge up, and that could potentially be a little scalpy long position, right? In terms of the long term for Bitcoin, have another drink. In terms of the long term for Bitcoin right now, we are looking, as discussed, we do have this bull market barrier. Little quick explanation on that. If it's blue, we're in a bull market. If it's red, we're in a bear market, right? If it's yellow, we're undecided, we're testing, we're in that sideways consolidation period, right? Just going to go swivel back to the last bull run that we had. As you can see here, topped at around 19K, right? And then we saw dumps in the price. And then we had the uncertainty in the market, which is what happened here. The consolidation, we turn yellow, right? We consolidate, we turn yellow, and then we flip red. Uncertain again, and then we continuously flip red, and then we were in the bear market. We entered that bear market and saw a 3K Bitcoin, right? And obviously, if that is about to happen, we need to think about our portfolios and what we're holding in terms of altcoins, because Bitcoin obviously takes control of the market in this sense. I can't wait until that's changed. It's going to be a long time before that actually happens, if it happens. We need technology to have some extreme advancements. We need people to basically adopt decentralized finance, right? We need people to adopt decentralized finance in terms of like business, and then these altcoins will have proper uses, right? And then we'll see some insane surges in the price. There we are, that's the one. But as you can see here, on the bull market barrier, we have seen this yellow point, right? We have seen this yellow sideways point, which basically means we are uncertain in this bull market now. We're uncertain, and we're looking to jump below it. If we don't below it, oh, that's the wrong one again. If we don't below it, we are going to see this turn red, which is what's happened. It's what's happened on the bull market barrier right now. So this could be an indication, in answer to the question, are we going to be entering a bear market? This is an indication that we could be. We could be entering a bear market because we've lost the support that we had on this top side of the bull market barrier, right? And we have seen us dump below. We saw a $38,500 Bitcoin, which is just crazy, super cheap in my opinion. But yeah, so obviously we've seen lower lows continuously. We have seen this change. That's wrong. We have seen this change to red now. We have seen this change to red now. If we don't see a surge to the upside and reclaiming this level of support here, which is now resistance, so we're looking at reclaiming the 42,500 mark. If we can't see that happening, if that does not happen, then we could be looking at a bear market, people. We could be looking at a bear market, and this being red, right? This being completely red. That's not right. This being red, potentially coming up, testing the top side of it here, the bottom side of the bull market barrier, and then continuing down, right? Continuing down, which is pretty sad for crypto, because a lot of people thought that this was the last run sort of thing, and they thought it was just everything was gonna moon from there, right? But it could be a test, right? We could be testing it. We could be testing the idea of a bear market. We could be testing the idea of a bear market, and it could be the whales at the top shaking out the little people, as discussed yesterday. Could be the whales shaking out the little people. Also, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, smash up that like button, turn that thumbs up blue, helps me out tremendously. And if you want to be streaming with me every day, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'll try and draw a bell. Hit that notification bell, and you're never going to miss one of my streams. I do also do a daily upload for you guys. I'm going to be picking an altcoin like every other day, and doing a little educational video on that, to basically something that I'm going to be adding to my portfolio, right? Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just my opinions and from an educational purpose, educational standpoint. I've got to work on my words, right? But yeah, in terms of the bull market barrier that we've got going on here, if we stay below it, we're going to be entering a bear market. So that's definitely something to consider. In terms of the rounded blue box zones that we've got going on here, we did lose the rounded blue box zone, right? And I did enter a long trade when we closed above it, which I did get screwed on, right? I hit a stop loss, and it was pretty awful, right? I'm not one of those traders that doesn't disclose the losses that he has, right? I did hit a stop loss, and it wasn't very nice, right? It wasn't very nice in terms of percent, right? It was a 5% stop loss. So not the worst thing in the world. Well, not the worst thing in the world when you're making 25% on other altcoins and stuff when you're executing some other trades. But still, it's still 5% loss. So it's definitely something to consider. The reason why I'm saying that, right? The reason why I'm saying that is because it's unlikely for this to kind of happen with the blue box zones, right? We usually come up and we usually test one of these lines, right? We usually test the resistance on one of these lines, tap it, and then we take profit, right? And then we take profit. As you can see here, we come up, we test, we come up, we test, we come up, we test, we lost it. We lost it here as well. So this was another stop loss here, right? So we've got another stop loss, another stop loss. So that's another indication that the bear market's due because but that's basically when we lose these blue box zones. If we're in a bear market, we're just going to start shorting, right? We're going to short it all the way down, and then we're going to take profit at all of these lines themselves. But yeah, it's an indication that we could be entering some sort of bear market because we're not seeing those long trades anymore with this zone because it's not hitting those take profits, right? So yeah, definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider if you're going to be trading Bitcoin long term. We want to be waiting for that confirmation of holding that 42,800 mark. If we can get that and find support on this barrier, on the bull market barrier, and change it back to yellow, that'd be ideal. That'd be ideal, and we could be basically reversing this trend that we've got, this horrible trend that we've got going on here, right? Now, in terms that's the kind of the summing up for the long term for Bitcoin. I've just done the midterm and the short term. If you've got any altcoins, request them in the chat, guys. Request them in the chat, and I'll do them. But yeah, I'm going to jump straight through to ADA, right? I'm going to jump straight through to ADA. As you can see for ADA, we do have this falling wedge at this point. We do have this falling wedge at this point in time, which did get broken, right? It did get broken, and we did see a measure move down, right? If I just play this out for you, we did see a measure move down, right? Look at that. Perfect. Lovely, lovely trade there. Lovely trade. It was early in the morning, so I missed that. It's really annoying. I missed quite a lot of shorts last night. But yeah, if you did see that and you did get in, that would have been a nice 11% gain there, right? So well done for ADA, right? That's the short term for ADA. If I'm looking at the long term for ADA, because obviously the question is for ADA at the moment is it underpriced? Is it underpriced because of that massive surge, right? I last time I sold my ADA, it was at 199, I think. So at this point in time, I'm like, oh, ADA is looking very nice indeed in terms of an accumulation zone for ADA. That'd be the short term, that falling wedge that we had there. In terms of the RSI for ADA right now, we were oversold, right? We're oversold, and that's obviously what happened with the Bitcoin dump, right? But as you can see, we did find support on this volume weighted ATR band. So if you're looking to accumulate ADA on the short term right now, on the short term, this looks like a good position, right? But if we switch to the midterm, obviously the volume weighted ATR band is going to be a lot lower than that, right? It's a lot lower than that. But you can see we did find that nice support on the 200 there. And in terms of trend, on the RSI, we're sold. We're sold. And it's sold. Yeah, we're sold right now, right? Because obviously this Bitcoin dump has had such an effect on the market. And it's just really annoying when it does that, right? But yeah, in terms of the MACD for the RSI right now, we're looking at obviously this new trend here to the downside that's been set from that dump on the midterm. So we're looking at something along the lines of that, but we are still in that downtrend, right? We haven't seen that bullish crossover on the MACD. So if we were looking at getting in, we'd be waiting for that on the MACD. So that's kind of the confirmation that we're going to go up from there. But as you can see, we do have this trend coming along here, right? We do have this trend coming along here. So if we are going to see a switch on the MACD here, I can't see it being a very big trend to the upside, right? Just because we do have this pretty dominant trend line to think about. We could see a break, and we could see a new dominant higher high trend cycle forming, but it's obviously all in speculation because no one knows what the hell is going on because of Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin dumps off a cliff, that's obviously gonna obviously shake everything up even more and create insane lower lows. And as I said, a potential bear market to think about. And if that happens, we could be looking at seeing some insane lows for all these altcoins that are going around at the moment, right? If we, in terms of a trade right now for ADA, it's just not looking good in my opinion because we're on that reversal. We don't know if we're going to keep going. We are just seeing lower lows. We did find a nice level of support, and there is a lot of buying power up from the 200 moving average, right? A lot of buying power. In terms of percent right there, in terms of percent, if you were to long from the 200 moving averages, you can be looking at a 10% gain there, right? But in terms of the next level of support that we're looking at, is, let's jump to the long term, is this trend line that we've got here, right? This trend line that we've got here is near enough in correlation with these levels of support down at 1.47, right? Down at 1.47. So if we are going to jump down there, if Bitcoin is going to fall off a cliff, then this is a level of support I can see us sort of respecting. But in terms of what's happened at the moment, in terms of what's happened with ADA, you can see we've seen some insane gains for ADA. We've seen some insane gains for ADA, and people have been just continuously buying it up, right? Continuously buying it up. So we need these corrections. I hate to say it, we need these corrections for it to be healthy. And as you can see here, back in April when we saw this correction, right? In terms of a percentage of this correction when we saw that previous all-time high, look, that's a 38% correction, and we recovered and soared in a sense to the moon from there. If we're looking at some sort of correction of what we're at now, it's not even as big as what happened before. So definitely something to consider, right? Definitely something to consider. Oh yeah, we do have a channel here, right? Definitely something to consider because what's happened now is we have dumped, right? We have dumped because of Bitcoin, but that's not saying ADA can't recover because it has done exactly the same thing from this pullback here, right? So if you're looking at getting in, I'd probably wait to come down and potentially test the 55 on the 12-hour. But as I said, we do have quite a lot of buying power to the upside here. So I wouldn't. It's so hard really because of Bitcoin. If we're basically waiting for Bitcoin to see that confirmation of a trend reversal or a trend to the downside because it just leads these coins so much and has such an impact. One coin that is not leading at the moment, right, is a Matic. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot about Matic. I made a nice trade on Matic yesterday, a nice 34% trade there on Matic to the upside. I planned that out perfectly, right? Planned that out perfectly, and I literally tapped that take profit and then it dumped from there, right? But as you can see here, this is the 12-hour time frame that we've got going on here. And get rid of that. That was my entry. Yeah, so this 12-hour time frame that we've got going on here, if we move that to the 4-hour, the midterm for Matic, we do have this rising wedge here. This rising wedge here to the upside. We do. And that's the trade that I made yesterday. We came down, we retested, I got in a nice long, and I made that quick 34%. It happened literally in like an hour and a half, which was great for me. A nice 34% there. But as you can see, obviously, Bitcoin dumped off a cliff, right? Bitcoin dumped off a cliff, and that was obviously this wick down, right? This wick down, and that's the reclamation, the reclaim of this rising wedge that we've got here. But look at that buying power. That buying power towards the upside that we have here for Matic is an indication that we could potentially see some all-time highs today, right? We've had that reversal. That's what we need because we've had these gains, right? We've had these gains. We need these reversals. Well, that reversal, right? We need these reversals for it to be healthy, as I said. So we could be looking at coming up, testing the all-time high pretty soon, right? Pretty soon, because obviously you can see this buying power. Bitcoin is obviously going to have effect on that. But if we do see us claim, which we are testing it at this point in time, this volume weighted ATR band and the 10 moving average on Bitcoin on the short term, and then basically we come up and we start testing these moving averages and testing these levels of resistance here, Matic is going to do very well indeed, right? Because it's not going to have the downwards pressure from Bitcoin. Even though it's doing well on its own, here, but it's not going to have the downwards pressure from Bitcoin. So that could mean we could be surging. We could see a nice surge. In terms of percents from yesterday, we saw it was a 34% surge, right? In terms of the whole day, I think it was a lot more than that, right? Yeah, if we go from here, right? If we go from here, the opening candle for the day, percent-wise, we topped out 56% for Matic, right? And that's just in one day. That's just in one day. So that does indicate, again, there's a lot of buying power. There's a lot of fundamentals here to say that we are going to push to the upside today. We are going to push to the upside today. And to be honest with you, I would have potentially gotten another position when we came up and reclaimed this trend line. But I was asleep, which sucks, right? And that's the main problem with crypto. Some of it happens while you're sleeping, and then you've got to... It's all on time zones because it's all that 24-hour stuff and it's traded internationally. So yeah, it's definitely annoying. Definitely annoying when that happens because it could have been a nice gain again, right? Didn't quite hit the all-time high again, but it could have been a nice gain. Now, in terms of the RSI, what's going on here, right? What is going on here? We're not overbought, we're not oversold, which is quite surprising in terms of that buying power that we've had for the MACD, right? Not the MACD, the RSI, in terms of that buying power that we've had in terms of Matic, right? That's what I was trying to say. In terms of Matic, that buying power that we've had. So on the 12-hour, we're seriously overextended, but that's because of these gains, right? And that's why we've needed these insane corrections, right? That's why we've needed these insane corrections. But in terms of trend, we're literally broken that trend on the 12-hour. In terms of what's happening on the midterm for Matic right now, we do have a dominant trend from the upside here. And we did break that as well, right? So we do have some sort of new cycle forming. Could be seeing something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this. Obviously, it's in speculation because you don't know where this trend's going to go or where it's going to be formed. But with the current price action on the RSI, the buying power could potentially return to here, to around this point, because obviously we've started a new sort of cycle on the RSI here. We could be seeing some buying power coming up, and that would indicate that we are going to move up in price, right? But we have reclaimed this trend line here. We have reclaimed the previous trend line on the RSI. So be wary in your position here because we're likely to see some resistance to the downside and then potentially a break to the upside from there, right? A break to the upside from there, right? And if that is to happen, then we're going to be looking at a surge in Matic if we can break to the upside there. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can come down and test this trend line. I can get another long in. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens with Matic. I can see great things happening today, and I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest, because there's some serious money to be made. I mean, yesterday I made 34% in a day. Like, that's crazy, right? That's crazy for any trader, right? 34%, absolutely nuts stuff, right? Now let's go to the MACD, right? The MACD on the midterm for Matic. We've just broken a higher high on the MACD here, right? We're nowhere near a bearish crossover. We're nowhere near a bearish crossover. We're in that uptrend right now. And I can see it continuing, right? We are still in the same trend right here. So we could be seeing this sort of trend hitting some new sort of high here and then setting some sort of trend pattern from there, right? That's what I think is going to happen on the MACD in terms of the uptrend. In terms of the downtrend right now for the MACD, we could be looking, I mean, we're nowhere near it. We're nowhere near some sort of bearish crossover here. We're nowhere near it. But if we are going to come down, I think we're definitely going to find a bit of support, or definitely some support on this major trend line in this rising wedge that we've got going on here, right? So that's definitely something to consider with your positions. We could be coming higher. We might not even come back down before we come higher. Yeah, I won't be entering if we don't come back down, because I need some sort of confirmation and a better entry, because if we do come up, hit this all-time high, and just get a swift rejection from there, or Bitcoin falls off an absolute cliff. I've just seen it's dumped $100. Yeah, if it does fall off an absolute cliff, we are going to see some sort of retracement like this, right? We're going to see some sort of retracement like this for Matic, and that would basically indicate a nice, well, a horrible stop out, right? And if we were to get in here, that loss would be pretty significant if we were to just dump, right? So it's all in speculation at this point in time. But if we are to come down, test, find support, I will be getting in a nice little long there to make those gains, right? Now, in terms of other coins to be doing, right now, let me have a little look. We're doing a little bit of XRP, right? I'm looking at a position for XRP. I was looking at entering for XRP yesterday, but I didn't. Thank God I didn't, right? Thank God I didn't. In terms of the trend, not in terms of the trend, in terms of the chart pattern that we've got here, we do have this giant symmetrical triangle, which we're itching. We're itching to break, right? We had this fake out yesterday. We did actually tap these levels of resistance. Didn't find support there and got the swift rejection, right? I was watching this candle absolutely plummet, right? Watching this candle absolutely plummet. And I was like, yep, brilliant. Thank God I didn't get into that, right? That's obviously some FOMO as well, though, because everyone, like a lot of traders would have seen this, right? They would have seen this and be like, oh my God, we're breaking. Let's go. This is going to be a big long. And in terms of a greedy measure move for, XRP, right? We are looking at something just stupid, right? Something stupid, seeing like a $2.70 XRP, which is just going to make a lot of people rich, because I know quite a few people have hodled this from literally nothing, right? They've hodled this from literally nothing, right? So it's going to make a lot of people rich if it breaks to the upside and has some sort of greedy measure move. If it's not going to break to the upside and we're going to see some sort of flaccid measure move here, we're going to see something along the lines of this, right? And we're going to see a $1.82 XRP, and that is not going to be tapping the all-time high, not quite at all, and it's not going to be even tapping the volume weighted ATR band that we've got there. So that is obviously the smallish measure move that we could be looking at, the least greedy in terms of gains, right? In terms of and if we keep consolidating inside of this triangle, it could literally just fizzle out, right? We could fizzle out and see a measure move or something like so, and it just the chart will literally just continue probably sideways from there, and then we'll wrong tool, sideways from there, and then we'll probably see some sort of channel, and then we'll probably ride it up from there. But they could be looking at not doing anything with this triangle that we've got going on here if we are to keep following this this sort of trend that we've got going on here inside, not sort of trend, this chart pattern that we've got going on here, and if we just consolidate into literally the corner of the triangle abyss, right? But yeah, in terms of levels of resistance that we've got to test next, we're looking at 1.67 XRP. But at this point in time, obviously, Bitcoin shattered out. Yeah, Bitcoin actually did that. And we did come down and we tapped the 200 moving average there and the bottom side of this symmetrical triangle. If we're going to break to the downside, right? If we're going to break to the downside, if we're going to see Bitcoin dump off a cliff and move the price of XRP as well, in terms of a measure move to the downside, we would be looking at something like so, right? Not greedy, of course. We do have to take into account this trap zone we have here. So I won't be getting into a position unless we clear this trap zone, because obviously you can see here, it's very trappy on this chart pattern here. Very, very trappy. We like potentially you could get in a short position here, right, after we cleared this level of support. Short position. Yep, we're going to come down. We're going to come up. We're going to test this level of resistance here, and we're going to come down from there and see some sort of measure move. But no, we actually came up, stop loss, and I think that happened to a few people quite a few times trading this chart pattern, right? As you can see, we came down. We broke this level of support here. So there's potentially five short positions there that got like stopped out. So definitely something to think about in terms of this trap zone that we've got going on here if we are to break to the downside. If we get to break to the downside, then we're going to be looking at some sort of measure move down, right? Some sort of measure move down. In terms of a percent for that, I wouldn't be riding it all the way down. Just because we do have this level of support here at 1.25, and you can see the upwards potential, the momentum to the upside from that horizontal support line there. So if you're going to get in a short position, if it does dump, right? If it does start to dump, and if you are going to get in a short position, I wouldn't be looking at entering until we're clear of the trap zone, which is this line here at 1.33. And I'd be looking at taking profit around this level of support here, right? Still 5%, still a 5% trade. That's a very good trade in terms of like one trade for a daily trade, right? So if so 5%, that's like the least greedy you could be, right? If you are going to be greedy and you are going to be your risk isn't going to be very good, then you're going to be entering as soon as we drop. But as I said, you are looking at potential stop outs, right? You're looking at potential stop outs, but if you are to just let the measure move play out, right, it's going to be a 13% gain, right? For me, I prefer the 5% with the least risk, right? 5% with the least risk is the ideal scenario for me. Right, let's jump across to Litecoin, right? I'm going to do a bit of Litecoin. As you can see here, we do have this channel. We do have this lovely channel to the upside on the daily chart, right? Very healthy. I like this chart. Very, very healthy, right? Let's jump to the midterm. Let's jump to the midi term, right? The midterm right now. We did see some sort of fake out thing on Litecoin itself, right, on the midterm here. This falling wedge that we've got going on. Pretty healthy in terms of confirmation. We've got lovely touches continuously, right? We did break to the upside, right? And we did get rejected swiftly. It's a swift rejection from the 500 moving average there. Swift rejection indeed. In terms of the measurement that people were looking to play out, if you got into this position, you would be looking. You would have been looking at taking the profit at this moving average that we've got going on here, because it is a dominant moving average of 55. We can see a lot of support and some resistance from that as well, right? Continuously. If we claim it, we ride it, right? If we claim it, we ride it. If we don't claim it, we fall. We literally just fall, right? As you can see here, we fell, right? So you should have taken that into account if you were in this position, and you would have basically come out around this point when you would have seen a rejection from the 55. Probably moving down to smaller time frames. That 55 was around, where was that? That 55 was around $3.16, right? $3.16. If we go to the short term, $3.16 is dead on the 200 moving average as well. So that's another point of confirmation where you would take your profit, right? You wouldn't be greedy and you'd take your profit. Now, in terms of percentages for that trade, that would have been the greedy, the 15%. No, I think that was 11% there. You would have been looking at something along the lines of 5%. Another 5% trade there. Very nice indeed. That's managing your position accordingly. If you didn't manage your position accordingly and you were going for that 11%, that measure move to the upside, and you didn't, and you would have been swiftly rejected from the 200. You would have bounced around on the 55 moving average on the short term, and then you would have lost it, right? You would have lost it, and you'd have come down, and you would have seen that stop out pretty swiftly as Bitcoin started to dump. You would have seen your position get screwed as well, right? And and that's why you should take profit when you think the market is in reversal, right? Obviously, Bitcoin's pretty hard to predict in terms of like dumping like that, the selling power to the downside. But you did have the 200 moving average here. You did have the 55, right? So these are factors you need to take into account. Also, right now, also on the RSI that we've got here, we did actually see us coming up and near enough testing it. Not quite getting there, but near enough testing it. If we were going to move it down and make it a bit more confirmed, we would have seen something along the lines of this, right? And you would have near enough cleared it, but not quite, right? So you would have been testing it or coming up to test it around that point. It might be different on different time frames, right? Let me have a little look. Yeah, not quite. So it's not a great indication on the RSI there, but as you can see, as I've explained before, you shouldn't just be going on one fundamental. You should have seen these moving average and taken some sort of position, some sort of insight from there, right? Some sort of insight from there. In terms of the MACD, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on here. We did see a new cycle of a trend here, a new cycle of a trend on the MACD here. And that would have basically been a top out, and you would have seen a resistance on the MACD at these points here. You can see these points here. Forget this cycle for a second, right? These points here. Let me get highlight that for you. Yeah, these points here. You can see the resistance that we find in terms of the trend, right? So you could have taken this into account in that position, and you would have been like, right, okay, yeah, we're going to see some sort of reversal from there. And then obviously we have just seen, in terms of price predictions for what's going to happen now, for Litecoin, we've seen a bearish crossover on the MACD here, indicating that we could be coming down and losing this level of support that we've got at 269. If we are to lose that level of support at 269, we could be looking at a lower low in terms of the trend that we're currently in. We could be looking at a lower low in terms of the trend that we're currently in here, and coming down and testing the bottom side of this giant channel that we've got going on, right? This giant channel that we've got going on since January, I think it was. Yeah, January, that we've got the lower side of this channel that we've got going on. But as you can see here, on the lower side of the channel, we've got momentum to the upside continuously, momentum to the upside. So if we are to come down and test this, lowest point I can see Litecoin going here is around 228 to, where's that volume weighted ATR band? 219, right? I can see us coming down, potentially wicking out of the channel. Unlikely, as it hasn't really been happening before, but it could happen, right? But the lowest point I can see happening and us finding support is this zone here. This zone here, and then I can see us basically coming up from there. Let me get rid of these for a second. Coming up from there, right? Just because obviously it's a dominant channel, we have respected it for months, well, this whole year we've been respecting it, right? We do have this volume weighted ATR band hits, and we usually, as I've said before, find a nice level of support on it there. If we aren't going to find support on it, we're going to be looking at some sort of measure move down. I don't think that is imminently. I don't think that's going to happen, and that would just be ridiculous, right? It'd just bring us down to $100. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, because we do have these insane levels of support to break for Litecoin here. So I can see that the absolute bottom being around 219, 220, that sort of area. In terms of coming up and finding a new trade pattern for Litecoin here, we're just going to extend that trend line, right? We're going to extend that trend line, because obviously these moving averages have formed some sort of resistance for us to go on in terms of like a pattern that we've got going on here, right? So we're just basically going to move these over and create a new, in a sense, more attractive falling wedge here. So in terms of a measure move for the next trade we're looking for Litecoin, we'd be looking at a break to the upside of something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this, and that lines up perfectly with this level of resistance here at around 329 if we find support on this point here at 269. But in terms, if we to do that, we are going to need some upwards momentum there, and that obviously on the predication of what Bitcoin is going to do. If we're going to lose this level of support at 269 and lose this trend line that we've got on this falling wedge that we've got here, we're going to be looking at some sort of measure move to the downside, and it's not great, right? It's not great, but as I said, I see the absolute bottom being around this point here. So I don't see this measure move playing out to the downside. But if you were looking at getting in and getting out, I would be very cautious for starters on the lower part of this channel, right? Lower part of this channel is heavily respected, so I'd be very cautious on that in terms of your position. If I was going to enter a position for Litecoin, I'd wait for the confirmation that we've cleared the lower side of this channel, and I'd be taking profit at these levels of support here. I would not be waiting until we get to the bottom side at around 205, because I do believe the bottom is going to be here. In terms of percent, it's not going to be that big, right? It's not going to be that big, but that's why there's a lot more chance in it happening, right? A lot more chance in it happening. And it's just not a greedy position, right? Risk management here, right? You've got a 6% gain if you are going to get in that, if we do get the confirmation, okay? Definitely something to consider with Litecoin in terms of trading it right now. And that's on the predication that we break to the downside, right? Let me have a little look. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Also, guys, if you're liking the stream, hit that thumbs up. Turn that thumbs up blue. Helps me out tremendously, right? Helps me out tremendously. And I will be doing this every day. From Monday to Friday. I will get a video out every single day. because I like producing content for you guys, and I like to educate as well as trade myself, right? But yesterday I did stream for 3 hours, right? I did stream for 3 hours, and it took the absolute life out of me. You should have seen me at the end of the day yesterday. I was shattered, right? Absolutely shattered. But yeah, so I will be streaming every single day. So if you like the content and you want to trade with me every morning and learn about my insights and stuff and learn how I trade, then press that subscribe button and that notification bell. You're never going to miss when I go live, or you're never going to miss one of my daily uploads. And I'm going to start doing emergency announcements for Bitcoin and Ethereum, because obviously this price action that we're seeing on a lot of the currencies right now, a lot of the cryptos right now, if you're not looking at the charts, right, if you're not looking at the charts, you're going to miss stuff like this, right? Granted, I was asleep on this one, but if it happens when I'm awake, I will be doing an emergency video to let you guys know and to manage your position. So that's why I say hit that notification bell, because if you're out with your friends and stuff, you see notification, oh, Crypto Chester has just released a video, emergency update. Oh God, right, okay, got to manage my positions. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that for you guys as well. Onto BNB, right? Onto Binance Coin, right? As I said before, I'm extremely bullish on Binance Coin because I think it's got extreme upside potential, right? At this point in time, it's an extremely cheap coin, right? For what it was, right? For what it was, topped out at around 680, 690, maybe even hit 700. Don't think it did actually. No, it didn't hit 700 yet. Not quite there. But as you can see, we have just plummeted from here, right? We have just plummeted from here. But you see these gains. These gains, they're near enough parabolic, right? They're near enough parabolic. So we need these corrections, I hate to say. We need these corrections. And that's why it's giving me sort of an inkling that we're not going into a bear market. We're just shaking the market. We're just shaking the market, and we're going to see some sort of V-shaped recovery pretty soon, right? We are finding support on this 200 moving average for Binance Coin here. But yeah, back to my streaming, how much I'm going to be streaming in the morning. I want to be streaming at least for an hour and a half every morning, right? At least for an hour and a half every morning, Monday to Friday. And on the weekends, I will be getting videos out every day as well, okay? Whether they're pre-made or whether I do it live. If I've got the weekend free, I do like to work weekends. But obviously, everyone has commitments in terms of girlfriends, parents, and stuff like that, right? So definitely things to think about, right? In terms of my streaming schedule, right? But I'll never miss a day of uploads. I'm always going to be sending something out to you guys to take into account, whether it's an altcoin, whether it's a chart update, whether it's an emergency update. But yeah, back to BNB Binance Coin, right? Found that support on the 200 moving average on the long term, right? As you can see here, we have seen this swift movement down. We have seen this swift movement down. As I said, we were near enough parabolic here, so we need this consolidation period. We need these retracements. We need these bounces, just for it to be healthy, right? If we're not doing that, then we're going to see even bigger crashes, right? We're going to see even bigger crashes. I mean, look at this. That is not healthy. It's gains, don't get me wrong. It's insane gains, like in terms of percent. It's just ridiculous gains, right? 630%, right? Insane gains, but it's not healthy. It's not healthy. That's not a healthy chart. So we need these consolidation periods. We need these dumps, right? In terms of levels of resistance that we need to break now, with the next target that we've got here is 599 or 596. Did I just see 598, 597, right? That sort of area. But in order to get there, we do need to break through the 55 moving average as well. And this is obviously on the long term for Bitcoin. The absolute low that I can see, Binance Coin going, not Bitcoin. We break this 200. We actually don't find support on it. We get rejected from it, right? We probably come down, break it, test it, something along the lines of that, and then come down, and then we hit this level of support here. And that next level of support coming down is going to be 334, right? 334. But the absolute bottom on the long term I can see is 274, and that's the volume weighted ATR band. And as you can see on the 12-hour. We don't often get there, right? We don't often get there, but when we do, we reclaim it, right? We reclaim it, or we find support on it, and then we come up from there. If we get below it, right? If we get below it, potential short coming in there, and take profit when we come up. Obviously, it's not going to be huge percents, right? Not going to be huge percents, but it's still something, right? 16%, obviously, we're on the big chart here, the long-term chart here. So that's definitely a position to think about if we are going to be tapping that low, right? I don't think we're going to be tapping that low. As you can see, it's a lot more spread out on this chart because of these gains, right? Because of these gains. So the absolute low that I can see for BNB right now is 275. And for me, that is an insanely cheap price for BNB because I can see insane gains happening for BNB in the next, like, 6 months to a year. And honestly, in my opinion right now, this, oh, that's the wrong thing. This right now is just a shake-up in the market, right? This is just a shake-up in the market, shaking out all those weak hands, and we are going to see some gains to the upside from there, right? Gains to the upside from there. If we jump down to the short term for BNB right now, the short term for BNB, we can see, am I on the right chart? Yeah, we are on the right chart. We can see this pretty dominant trend line coming down, right? Pretty dominant trend line coming down from near enough the all-time high, right? Near enough from the all-time high. So if we are going to basically see some climbing to the top side here, we are going to have to hit this level of support at around 500 here. We're going to have to hit that level of resistance at 500 there and find support on it. And then we're going to be challenging this area here. And that area is around 550. So in order to actually progress to the upside a lot, we do have a lot of things to overcome. The volume weighted ATR band, the 10 moving average, the 55, this level of resistance here, this major trend line from the top side of Binance Coin here, and then also this level of resistance here as well, and the 200 coming down. So there's a lot of things to get over in terms of progression to the upside. But if we are going to start some sort of uptrend, obviously it's not going to be imminent pumps, right? It's not going to be imminent gains, imminent pumps. We are going to see some gradual grinding up, and then we probably see another leg up to the upside, right? Smashing those all-time highs. That's kind of what I think for BNB, because I'm pretty bullish on BNB and always have been in terms of what they're trying to do and in terms of their technology compared to Ethereum, transactions per second, speed of the blockchain, and all of that. And they are hosting more companies every single day in terms of altcoins, right? At this point, the lowest point right now of support is at 419 BNB. In terms of the RSI, we are oversold. We're oversold at this point in time, so we're going to get some buying power to the upside. And that's kind of what we're having here, right? We're having some buying power to the upside here, and that's basically what we're seeing here, and that's why we found support on this lower point here. We have set a lower high here, which is an indication we are seeing some sort of trend reversal here, but this isn't speculation because we are on the hourly. If we are going to set a lower low or this candle, we have basically 2 hours and 40 minutes to lose this level of support at 432 here and set a lower low. Then we've got basically more confirmation that we're going to go down from there, right? Back to the short term for BNB. Looking at some sort of position, as you can see here, I can basically see some straight up symmetrical triangle that we've got going on here, and obviously we did break that to the downside, right? In terms of what we need to think about is breaking this lower level of support here, which I don't think we're going to, because we are overextended on the RSI, and this dump is primarily because of Bitcoin, right? Obviously, it's on predication of what Bitcoin is going to do, whether we are going to reclaim this this sort of area here and see some sort of upwards momentum from there. That's obviously going to drive the price of BNB to start testing these major points of resistance here. In terms of the MACD right now, we do have this trend cycle to the upside, on the short term to think about. So that basically indicates if we are going to have a bearish crossover on the MACD here, we could be seeing a new trend cycle forming, right? A new trend cycle forming, which would be a higher high of this new trend. It probably won't break this higher high because obviously you can see the gains up there. Let me pull that down a bit. You can see the gains from that up there, right? The gains, huge gains. I can't see BNB pumping literally 15% anytime soon, 16% anytime soon, right? So it won't be up there. We won't find resistance on this horizontal point at the top here. I can see it basically being somewhere along the lines of 3.12, right? 3.12, right? 3.12, right? Around this point, right? 3.31. I can see us basically starting a new trend cycle and it being up here if we can get that bullish crossover, right? If we can get that bullish crossover, but as you can see at the moment, we are in a downtrend on the MACD. We are setting lower lows on the MACD on this downtrend, so we do need to think about coming down lower than that, right? We do need to think about coming down lower than that, and as you can see, we are sort of fizzling out in terms of buying power to the upside. So at this point, we could see some sort of reversal, some test of this level of support, and that basically indicate a lower low again for Binance Coin in terms of the MACD, right? And that in terms of trend cycles that we're going to have from this point, right? In terms of trend cycles that we're going to have from this point, we're going to be looking at, obviously it's all a speculation because we don't know where this trend's going to end and where the new one's going to form, right? To give us a sort of an indication how long it's going to be, how steep it's going to be, right? But yeah, so definitely something to consider when trading BNB at this point. For me, there's not really any confirmed positions to think about right now. We do have pretty dominant levels of support on trend lines, right? Dominant levels of support on trend lines here, but as you can see, we are actually testing that at this point in time, and that is near enough a broadening wedge, right? Broadening wedge, which a lot of you probably know, I don't like broadening wedges when trading crypto, right? They don't seem to play out very well in my opinion. As you can see here, right? Very, very trappy, right? Very, very trappy indeed. So yeah, we're testing this this level of resistance here. If we don't, and that's probably why we're fizzling out here, right? If we don't find support on it and push to the upside and start testing this volume weighted ATR band, then we are going to come down and we are going to see a $420, $419 BNB there, right? Now, let me have a look, see if there's anything going on in the chat. Nothing going on in the chat, guys. If you've got any coins you want me to do a little TA on, jump them in there now. Brilliant. And I'll basically do some TA on that. In terms of the long term for BNB right now, we are in this this rising wedge continuously, but we have broke that to the downside, right? We have broke that to the downside, and we are actually sat on the volume weighted ATR band, so that's an indication we are going to come up as well. Good stuff. Solana, baby. Solana, baby. Yeah, Solana on the long term here, we do have this dominant trend line to the downside, right? If we get a dominant trend line to the upside that we got going on here, it is basically forming a rising wedge, baby. Yeah, rising wedge that we got going on here. So we could be looking at breaking that anytime soon. I'm pretty surprised it hasn't come down as much as everything else in terms of price right now, just because of everything. If you look at the charts, like, granted, it has dumped 13%, but for what's been happening with Solana, is we've got buying momentum, right? We've tested this this top side of this trend line of the bottom side of this rising wedge here, and we've got that buying power. We've got that buying power to the upside since we saw the bottom. Since we saw the bottom there, we've actually pumped up 8%. I might not look it on the daily in terms of percentages, in terms of percentages, in terms of growth in terms of decline for the day, right? We have actually come back around 8%. So that shows we do have a lot of buying power for Solana at the moment. And the next point of resistance that we're going to start testing is the previous all-time high for Solana. And that is at 49.6, right? Near enough $10 away, right? So that's definitely something to consider if you're looking at Solana right now. If we clear that level, right? If we clear that level, we are going to see some momentum towards the upside. And we could see a potential test of an all-time high. Obviously, this is on the daily chart, so this isn't going to be happening. Well, it might happen today if we've got some insane buying power for Solana, but I can't see this happening today because we do need to recover this 13% before we see a new all-time high or even testing the all-time high on Solana, right? Now, down to the midterm for Solana. As you can see, we do have this channel, right? We do have this channel. And we did do some sort of like fake out on this channel, right? We did do some sort of fake out, tried to find support on the top side here, tried to find support on the top side of this channel, but actually got swiftly rejected from the volume weighted ATR band. Swiftly rejected from the volume weighted ATR band. And we're looking at that dump to the downside. That was obviously Bitcoin, right? We are actually dumping for Solana right now. I did just see this price move. It's quite rare to see on the 4 hour to see it dump like, I think it dumped like a few percent there. So yeah, the next point that we are going to be testing, this level of support we are going to be testing is 47 on the midterm for Solana, but I don't see us breaking to the downside because obviously you can see the buying power at this trend line, all right? You can see the buying power and the momentum to the upside from this trend line on the bottom side of this channel, right? Lost my words there. But yeah, in terms of a price reversion, in terms of the price reversing, we do need to come back up and test this 21 moving average that we've got here, and the next level of resistance we've got is at around 49.6, right? So if you're looking at some sort of position, like it'd be more of a scalp in my opinion, you could be looking at getting in a little long from this level of support here at 47 and potentially riding up some sort of sideways, there it is, some sort of sideways market like here and take profits around here. In terms of percentages for stuff like that, like little scalps like that, you're looking at, that's the wrong tool again. In terms of percentages, you're looking at like a nice little 3% there. Yeah, so that's definitely a potential trade there. Potential, because obviously you've got this moving average coming down here as well. But be cautious because we could come down and test this 55. If we come down and test this 55 and you're getting along here, you're going to be looking at some sort of stop out, or you could have your stop loss below the moving average there. But as you can see, we do like to wick it. We do like to wick it and get a bit trappy here, right? So those are things to think about, right? In terms of breaking to the downside on this rising channel that we have here on the 4 hour, I don't think we're going to break anytime soon to the downside unless Bitcoin absolutely falls off a cliff. If we do, then we are going to see a $34 Solana. But in terms for that to happen, we do need to break this level of support at 39, and we do have this moving average here, this 200 moving average coming here at around $40 there as well. So if you're looking at getting a position when we some dust, right? When we leave this rising channel, we would be looking at some sort of 9% gain, because in my opinion, we wouldn't be going any further. Well, I wouldn't be going any further than the 200 moving average here, because as you can see, we primarily respect it and we see the momentum to the upside once we test it, right? That's the wrong tool again. God, I gotta get good at this tool stuff. Same scenario happening here. Look at that momentum, that buying momentum to the upside once we've cleared that found support on that 200, right? So definitely I would not be letting my position run any lower than the 200 moving average on the 4 hour time frame if I am looking at a short here, because I can see some sort of rebound from there and then potentially coming up and testing this level of it'll be resistance at that point, but at this point it is support, and we are testing that currently. But if we are down here and we're getting a rebound off the 200 moving average there, we would be testing this trend line as well, and then the next point would be this this point of resistance at 47, right? So there's a little trade to think about, potentially for the day. We are on the 4 hour, so this could play out over a few hours. Well, not a few hours, but it's a few candles, right? So like maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely something that could be happening probably in the middle of the night, maybe this afternoon, something like that, right? In terms of the hourly right now, we do have this 200 moving average here to break through, and this level of support at 46, right? But if we do lose them, we will be touching the bottom side. In terms of the RSI and stuff for the 4 hour, let's jump back to that, right? That doesn't look good. In terms of the 4 hour, that's the wrong tool. Come on, Crypto Chester. Get rid of that. Let's draw some trends, right? Let's draw some nice trends. As you can see, they're pretty dominant on the RSI here. And we are in a position to test, right? We're in a position to test these dominant trends. We did test it. We did dump from there, right? And this is obviously on the midterm. And that is basically the indication why we got rejected. Off this volume weighted ATR band. And we couldn't find support on this trend line that we've got going for this rising channel here, right? That's basically why we got rejected. In terms of what's happening on the RSI now, we're pretty central, right? We're not overbought, we're not oversold. If we carry on this rate of decline and we can't find support on this 55 moving average on the midterm for Solana, then we are going to be seeing some downwards momentum on the RSI here. Downwards momentum on the RSI, a lot of selling power, right? A lot of selling power. And as you can see, very briefly, we have near enough, well, we have broke this sort of trend line to the bottom side of the RSI here. So that's something to think about, because we are starting some sort of new downward selling power, right? So hopefully we can find support on this 47 mark. If we don't, then I can see us going lower and testing the bottom side of this channel. And then we got the potential for a short there. So that is definitely something to consider when trading Solana today. In terms of the MACD right now, we have just had that bullish crossover. Note the bearish crossover on the 4 hour here. Just had the bearish crossover on the 4 hour here, and we have started a new trend cycle in terms of a downtrend, right? In terms of a downtrend cycle that we've got going on here. We don't know how low this one could go, right? We don't know how low this one could go. So that is in speculation of we're going to have to basically test these points of support here, and that's going to indicate where this trend is going to fizzle out, and then we can get some sort of indication where the cycle is going to go from there, and where we can basically plan our positions, whether we're going to see this measure move play out. A lot of fundamentals here to think about. Might be quite overwhelming, but you're better off knowing more. You're better off knowing more about a position. I know sometimes you can overdo it and you can take too much information in terms of looking at 10 to 20 different indicators on what the price is going to be doing, because not one indicator is 100% right all the time, right? There's always going to be some that are wrong. So if you're taking in 10 pieces of information in terms of looking at one trade, it could throw you off completely, and you can be like, oh, it all contradicts each other. So yeah, I usually stick with the RSI and the MACD. Pretty reliable, but I do take obviously volume weighted ATR bands as tops and bottoms, and major moving averages as potential take profits as well, and obviously supports and resistances, very basic stuff there. And then I've also obviously got the chart patterns as well. So there's about 5 or 6, 7 different things that I'm thinking about when I'm taking a trade position, and then it becomes basically managing it accordingly in terms of risk and reward, right? Now, that's Solana. When New York opens, do you see further downside? Yeah, I do, to be honest, man. I do, to be honest, because obviously the guys at the top, the guys at Wall Street, right? I can basically see them seeing Bitcoin, them seeing the decline in Bitcoin and losing a lot of hope. And if that is to happen, right, Bitcoin is going to dump, right? Bitcoin is going to dump. We're not going to see a reclaim of this bull market barrier that we've got here, and we could be seeing us going into a little bit of a bear market there. It could just be a shakeout, as I said before. It could just be a shakeout, but in terms of what I think is going to happen in terms of selling power for Bitcoin, I think we're potentially going to come down and basically fizzle along this line, consolidate inside this inside this channel here, and basically just keep progressing down very slowly, right? I don't think we're going to see insane dumps anytime soon. I hope we don't anyway. But as the main point of the day right now, we need to clear this volume weighted ATR band, and that is just over 40k there. If we can get over that 40k, find support there, then I can see some sort of reversal in the trend. But as you can see, we are setting lower highs on the hourly time frame, on the short time frame here. So we could be seeing us coming down from here, right? We could be seeing us coming down from here. I think the stock market's open at 2:30 in England, or 2 o'clock in England, American time. So it's definitely something to watch in terms of what's going to happen with the price, right, for Bitcoin. And obviously Bitcoin is the leader of cryptos at the moment, so we are going to see some sort of effect. Well, look at your top 50 cryptocurrencies at the moment, right? They're all being led by Bitcoin. Bitcoin dumps, all of them are going to dump, apart from Matic. That holds its own at the moment. Holds its own at the moment. They have got some great technology. Research that if you want to learn more about that. And I think there's some huge upside potential for Matic, and I do think they're seriously underpriced at the moment. And that's why we are seeing a lot of buying power to the upside, right? In terms of a position for Matic, actually, I would be looking at a retest, right? A retest of this rising wedge, I think it was. Yeah, retest of the rising wedge that we've got going here for Matic. I made a nice 34% trade on it yesterday. Very juicy indeed. Yeah, so I'll be looking for a retest of this trend line. We do have the volume weighted ATR band coming here, which is this red one here to think about. Obviously, as you can see, if we do find support on that, we do usually push to the upside, right? We could potentially be seeing that pretty soon. If we don't, I'd like to see a wick down. I'd like to see a nice entry point being hit here around 2.22, around 2.21. Obviously, depending on where we go, if we come down like this, it's going to be higher. So 2.22, something like that. That'd be a very nice trade for Matic, and then I would be basically riding that up, probably touching that all-time high from before, right, where we made that nice 34%, and that would be a nice 19% to think about. Definitely something to think about in terms of Matic right there, because I think Matic is we're gonna see a pullback, right? We're gonna see a pullback here, and we are gonna see progression to the upside. Yeah, Matic has performed well through the cycle. I didn't even see that on the chat, but yeah, that's what I think is going to happen for Matic. Let's jump down right super. As you can see, right, if you're looking at like the 5 minute or the let's go to the 5 minute quickly. As you can see on the 5 minute, we do have this symmetrical triangle. The symmetrical triangle playing out on the 5 minutes. So at this point, we are looking for a break, and this is very scalpy, right? I don't really like the 5 minute. I more like trading on the hourly and the 4 hourly and stuff to get bigger positions, get those bigger swings. But if you're looking at sort of an indication of what you're hoping for on the bigger midterm, short-term time frames, I call this like the super short-term time frame, right? If you're looking for sort of an indication, right, we are looking at a measure move playing out from this symmetrical triangle. We're looking at a measure move playing out from this symmetrical triangle, and that would have an indication of where the price could potentially go on the short term, right? If we're looking at a measure move playing out on the super short term, we could be looking at something along the lines of this. Obviously, it's a greedy measure move, right? This is a greedy measure move, but for the short term, it's very, very achievable, right? Very achievable. If we see this play out, if we see this measure move play out, we're going to see a nice swing to the downside of around 8%, right? A swing to the downside of around 8%. And this is when I'm going to be entering my long position to the upside, right? A long position to the upside. We're going to be going up from there, testing those new all-time highs, and be looking at a nice, pretty much a 20% gain there, right? So That's why I sometimes drop down to the 5 minute, but I don't like to trade it, right? I won't be getting in this short position. Because I just don't like to trade it, right? I like to trade the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the 12 hour. I'm more of a big swing trader, not a scalp trader, right? But yeah, so we do use this as an indication of where the price could potentially go. So yeah, definitely something to think about if you're going to be trading Matic. If you're looking at a potential position like I am, take all the fundamentals into account. In terms of what's happening on the RSI for Matic, we jump to the hourly. No, that's on the 4 hourly. Let's go to the 4 hourly. We see this dominant trend line. This dominant trend line, which did get demolished, right? It did get demolished last time. We did see that pump yesterday, right? And that was when we smashed that all-time high. And then from there, we did actually see us come down below, and did start this sort of new cycle that we've got going on here. In terms of a downwards trend line that we've got going on here, we do have something look along the lines of this, but we do need to think about this bottom side trend line, right? Because we could be seeing a new sort of cycle for the RSI in terms of a trend for Matic, right? In terms of buying power, but we are going to have some sort of resistance from this point because we reclaimed this zone, right? We've reclaimed this zone, so we do need to think about if we are going to see some buying power, right? If we are going to see some buying power, we are looking at some sort of point of rejection at this line of the RSI, and that would be the all-time high for Matic. So if we're likely to if we're going to clear this line when we see us hitting this all-time high, that's why you want to, when we're touching the all-time high, you want to see the buying power on the RSI. If we're climbing over this trend line that we've got here, that's an indication we are going to go higher and we are going to break an all-time high for Matic. Okay, definitely things to take into account while trading Matic and while trading to get into positions. Yeah, I'm pretty done with Matic at this point in time. If we are going to fall, the next level of support on the 4 hour time frame is 1.76, but I can't see us going there anytime soon with this buying power of Matic and the way it's trending, sort of not quite the opposite just as of yet. It's just got a lot of buying power compared to all the other altcoins and Bitcoin itself at this point in time, right? Let's have a little look at Ethereum, right? Let's have a little look at Ethereum. As well, guys, if you're liking the stream, turn that thumbs up blue, helps me out tremendously. And if you want to be streaming with me, well, not streaming with me, if you want to be trading with me every day, Monday to Friday, I'm going to be streaming every morning. So hit that subscribe button, and I also release an altcoin video I want to be doing once every 2 days sort of thing, and I basically pick an altcoin, and I basically pick one with huge upside potential and a potential thing to hodl for the future. Not talking like a 6 month hodl, I'm talking like a 2-3 year sort of thing when the technology gets adopted. We're going to see some insane gains like the one yesterday. We could be seeing like a few %,000%, just insane stuff, right? Insane stuff. So that's that comes out like every other day sort of thing. And I will be doing some emergency broadcasts in terms of price action. If something's crazy happening on the chart and you're not looking at your charts, you're going to see a notification from me from YouTube saying Crypto Chest has released an emergency video about Bitcoin. If you're in a Bitcoin position, that's basically a reminder for you to check the charts because something crazy is happening, right? So I'm looking at the charts so you guys don't have to, right? So hit that notification bell and you're never going to miss one of my uploads, right? As you can see, for Ethereum, straight back into Ethereum. I'm just going to have a drink of water here. Straight back into Ethereum. Actually, I haven't done Ethereum yet, but this is the midterm for Ethereum. We do have this falling wedge going on here, which we did break. Obviously, this is the momentum for Bitcoin to the downside here. We did lose this 200 moving average. We lost the 200 moving average on the 4 hour, and that's pretty significant, right? It's pretty significant. As you can see the support. You can see the support that we find on this moving average here. We can see the support that we find on this moving average, and then the momentum to the upside from that moving average itself, right? When we lose it, we usually reclaim it, right? We usually reclaim it, but we could see some sort of trend below it. And at this point with Ethereum, we all know it's made those stupid gains recently. There's absolutely stupid gains. So the absolute low point of Ethereum I can see here is this volume weighted ATR band here. Look, it's at 2,500, 2,600 mark. If we scroll back in time to the volume weighted ATR band, look, you can see we lost the 200. We found support on this volume weighted ATR band as we usually do, right? And then we come back up and test it, right? So at this point in time, I can see us. Let me see if we've got another one here. Yeah, as you can see here, we continuously find support on it, right? So what I can see here happening, absolute low of low that we can see. This measure move playing out for this falling wedge that we've got going on here, coming down, stopping us, at this volume weighted ATR band, stopping us at this level of support, previous all-time high from April there. Yeah, stopping us at this level of support. So if you're looking at getting in a short here, I mean, I wouldn't just as of yet, because we don't know what's going to happen to the markets. And Ethereum, this is a good retrace for Ethereum, right? This is a good retrace for Ethereum. This is literally a 34% retrace for Ethereum. I was looking at Ethereum chart this morning, actually. Let me jump to that, because I was looking at the retrace that we had. Get rid of that measure move quickly, but yeah, sorry. Just to sum up on the midterm for there, I think the low point is 2,500, 2,600 if we are going to get there. But yeah, let me jump to the daily quickly. As you can see here, that line's completely well off now. As you can see here, we do have this pullback here. This pullback here in February. This pullback was significant. It was huge. It was after we saw an all-time high, and we actually pulled back 36% before starting another healthy run up, right? Another healthy run to the upside, right? This is healthy. This is a healthy chart after this insane run up from before, right? We have this insane run up. We have a pullback, consolidation sideways sort of period, testing the all-time high, and then we see another run up from there. As you can see, as I just said there, we have pulled back 34%, was it? Yeah, 35, just about 35% we have pulled back. That's not as much as the last pullback, right? So we could be seeing a complete reversal, right? We could see a rejection. We could be finding a nice level of support on this 55 moving average here and coming up to reclaim this falling wedge here, right? But if you're going to be entering your shorts, this is another indication why I would not be entering a short right now, is because we've pulled back a significant amount, right? We've pulled back a significant amount, and it's likely we're going to see some reversal in the trend, some sort of test of this 200 moving averages at 3,100 here, or just under 3,200, and then the next level of resistance to get through is 3,240, right? I can see us getting there for Ethereum. I believe that this right here, this dump right here, is literally due to Bitcoin falling off a cliff, right? Due to Bitcoin falling off a cliff, because as you can see, we do find a nice level of support at this resistance point at 3,240, right? So in terms of what I think could happen today, obviously we don't want a lower low for Ethereum. Obviously, depending on what Bitcoin's going to do, if we can hold ourselves for 2 hours and 15 minutes before the 4-hour hourly close, I can see a reversal in the trend and at least coming up to test this trend line here at 3K again, right? A nice $3,000 Ethereum. Not quite enough momentum there to get in a long position or confirmation in terms of price action, but this could easily be a fake out to the downside, right? If we're looking at breaking to the upside in the future, we're looking at breaking to the upside and finding our next swing up, right? Finding our next swing up in Ethereum, as we have done here, right? After we dumped, we find our next swing up. We could be looking at something along the lines of a measure move here. This is a trade for the future, right? This is a trade for the future because I don't see this happening anytime soon, really. We've got a long, not a long way to go, but at least a few days of an uptrend, right? And testing some serious points of resistance before we're seeing a break of this top side of this trend line here. So this right here, if we are going to get there, if we are going to see a nice break, obviously depending on where we're going to break on this falling wedge that we've got going on here, we're going to be looking at a nice 13% gain for Ethereum, right? 13% gain for Ethereum. And if that is to happen, then obviously that's good news for all you Ethereum hodlers out there, right? But as I said, we do have quite a lot of points of resistance to get through, right? We do quite a lot of points of resistance to get through in terms of price action here, and that would basically mean that it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to take a lot longer to get up there, and it's not going to be a parabolic swing up, all right? You're going to see insane gains really quick, right? And that's obviously depending on what's going to happen with BTC, right? BTC is obviously leading, which sucks. I know it actually wasn't the other day. Ethereum, like BTC, was dumping like crazy, and BTC was just pumping like crazy. Yeah, so hopefully we can see some sort of reversal like that in terms of an Ethereum trade there. In terms of what's happening for the midterm on the RSI, we do have this dominant trend coming up here, and that's basically a signification or a signal. We'll go with signal that we could come up, right? We could come up and test this bottom side of this trend line, right? Could test this bottom side of this trend line, and that's basically meaning we're going to have a nice consolidation period again inside this falling wedge. So that's obviously on the predication that we come up and we reclaim this falling wedge by finding support on this trend line. As you can see, we're nearly oversold. We're nearly sold in the RSI, so that's an indication we're going to have a reversal in the price as well. As you can see on the Mac, no, sorry, that was the RSI. This is the MACD. The MACD here, we do have this trend cycle. We do have this trend cycle here, and it's pretty dominant, right? It's a pretty dominant trend cycle. We do see a lot of respect in terms of short-term trends, right? In terms of short-term trends, there's a lot of respect going on, and that's basically the nice confirmation that we've got here of this falling wedge. In terms of uptrends right now, it's looking pretty flaccid. It's looking pretty flaccid, right? There's not a lot going on. As you can see, we do have these bullish crossovers happening, and then it just switched back because we don't have a lot of buying power to the upside. And I think, in my opinion, right, the buying power to the upside was all of this. It was all of this swing here, right? It was this big swing here. Everyone was buying Ethereum. Everyone was holding Ethereum. And now the people who are uncertain about markets, I don't really know that much about crypto, they've lost a few $100 and stuff, and they're like, oh god, no, I'm out. Sod that, I'm out. But yeah, so basically what I think is going to happen on the MACD, what's going on here, I don't see us I see us respecting this downtrend that we've got going on here. I don't see us breaking a new lower low in terms of the MACD trend cycle here. But as you can see here, we're pretty far off a bullish crossover. But when we do get a bullish crossover, we are going to see a new cycle, right? We're going to see a new cycle on the MACD of upwards buying power, right? It could be some more fizzle out, some more literal nothingness for a bit. But in my opinion, yeah, we could see that actually. There is there's enough room to do some basic consolidation and just nothingness for a bit in terms of upwards pressure for Ethereum. But obviously, as I said, when that is done, we are going to see a new cycle for Ethereum in terms of upwards pressure, and that could be when we are testing, once we found support on this horizontal line, and when we are testing this this trend line of the top side of the falling wedge here, and then we'll be looking at that measure move to the upside. So that's definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider when trading Ethereum. But yeah, in terms of just a summary, I think the lowest point that we're going to find is around 2,600 for Ethereum there, right? I'll reunite with my beloved Ethereum in the near future. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Me too, right? Me too, right? I'm just going to take a break, guys. I'm just going to take a break. Unfortunately, I forgot to add, pretty unprofessional, but I forgot to add some music to the Be Right Back screen. So you are going to have to sit in silence. And yeah, I'll see you. I won't be long at all. I'll be a couple of minutes. Yeah, I'll see you back in a minute, and I will be going through the requested ADA, Rune, XLM, and some XRP as well, right? But yeah, so I will see you guys shortly. Hi guys, back now. Thank you for hanging around. Gonna get straight into Rune. I think Rune. Yeah, we'll get into Rune and see what's going on here. As you can see here, sorry, there's a pretty messy chart here, right? Pretty messy chart here. We are on the 4-hour time frame here. As you can see, we do have this channel, right? This lovely channel going back from May the 3rd, right? This lovely channel going back from May the 3rd, which we've respected continuously, and it has been quite healthy. But with what's been happening at this point in time, we did break it to the upside, and we did set new all-time highs for Rune, right? We did set new all-time highs for Rune, but then obviously this sell-off power has come from Bitcoin, right? It's come from Bitcoin doing its crazy stuff there. But yeah, in terms of a measure move that we were looking for, I'm just gonna get rid of this channel. I'm just gonna get rid of this channel and do something a bit more attractive on the 4-hour here, right? Because that is kind of fizzled out, right? We can see some more dominant trend lines kind of forming, and a more dominant trend pattern forming, right? It's a channel like looking a bit more healthy like this, a bit thinner, but as you can see, we have dumped to the downside of this channel, and we're looking at some sort of measure move to the downside if we are getting that confirmation of the retest of this trend line here, right? As you can see, in terms of what I think this measure move could look like, we're gonna be looking at something like this, right? You have to think about entering a position here, because you have to think about your position when you're entering here, because if you are to go short, we do have this level of support to break here at 16.6, right? $16.6. We have got that level of support to break there. As you can see, we do have momentum to the upside from that level, right? From that level, we do have momentum to the upside. And then we've got this 200 moving average sitting around as well. And as you can see, we primarily respect that too. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of looking at the completion of this measure move when you're going short. In terms of getting over this 200 moving average that we've got here, I can't see it happening. To be honest, I really can't see it happening, because obviously we do have a lot of buying power to the upside from there. In terms of breaking it, obviously we did break it here, and then we did find support down here, but that was back in March. And as you can see, from March, Rune has pretty much just gone crazy, right? We did have this nice wave up here, this pullback here, consolidation period, and now we're looking at another wave up, right? We're looking at this nice trickle uptrend. This is good. At this point, this is very good, healthy, I must say, and that's why I can't see us breaking this 200 moving average here. But if you're looking at getting in short, for Rune, if you're looking at getting short when we come up and basically retest this trend line, because for me personally, I don't like getting in right away. Obviously, I did miss this dump because I like to get a better price, and if it is a trap like we do have here, we're not going to get a stop out. We're not going to lose those percents there. But if you're looking to get in and take profit at this moving average here, this 200 moving average, you're looking at a nice 10% trade here. You're looking at a nice 10% trade. Now let's look at the other fundamentals like the RSI and the MACD to see where we're at. Right now, you can see pretty dominant trend coming down from the highest buying point, as I can see on the 4-hour chart here. So in terms of buying and selling power at the moment, we're pretty central. We're not oversold, we're not overbought. And that's pretty much stagnant price action, right? Stagnant price action. But in order to get down to this support point here, down at 16.6, 16.5-ish, we're going to need to see some selling power. We're going to need to see some selling power to the downside. And that's why I don't think, if we are going to come up, we're going to have to come up and test this point of test this trend on the RSI here. If we are to come up and reclaim this channel, I can see us basically getting a nice swift rejection off this 55 moving average and this level of resistance at 18 there, because basically that correlates perfectly with the test of this trend on the RSI, right? So that's definitely something to be thinking about if you're going to be entering this position. And that's on predication that we're breaking to the downside, right? If we're gonna reclaim, if we're gonna come up, if we're gonna set a new trend on the RSI here, breaking this dominant trend line, getting overbought there, then we're gonna be seeing some upwards momentum, right? We're gonna see some upwards momentum and the reclaiming this channel, right? Obviously, this is a healthy channel. We do have lots of touches continuously. Very nice trade pattern indeed, right? But we do have these levels of resistance to break through. They're pretty dominant, right? They're pretty dominant levels of resistance, as they were all-time highs set from before. And you can see all-time highs set, but it's just not, the gains aren't really there. It's just a nice slow uptrend, right? It's a nice slow uptrend. So that's an indication that we're not going to break to the upside with extreme buying power anytime soon. So I'd be looking at basically riding this up. If we are going to come up, probably testing this level of resistance here, coming up, testing this level of resistance here, and that's on the predication that we don't come down and see some sort of downward swing in terms of a measure move to the downside, right? In terms of the MACD right now, in terms of the MACD, we do have a new trend cycle set by this extremely big downwards candle on the MACD here, right? That was candle on the MACD here, right? We did have that bearish crossover here. This is all just because of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has screwed with the markets today and made everything basically dump, right? But we do need to think about a new trend cycle on the MACD here, and that could be looking, obviously we are still in this downtrend, so we don't know where this is going to end. We could see a lower low here. We do have this horizontal resistance point on the MACD, which we're near enough testing. We're just about testing here. If we can get over that, then we are going to see, that's the wrong one, we are going to see some point where we have a bullish crossover, and then basically we're swapping the trend, right? We swap the trend, and that could be, right? That could be, if we break this level of resistance, this level of support here, then we are going to be looking at coming down and testing this level of support here. And that would basically indicate we're going to get a break on the MACD here. We're going to get a break on the MACD here, which could indicate we are going to come and test this 200 moving averages. So those are some factors to definitely think about. But in terms of a bullish crossover anytime soon, we're pretty far away. We're pretty far away in my opinion. We do have these dominant trend lines coming down from the top. So if we are going to see some upwards momentum, then we are going to see some resistance, right? We're going to see some resistance when testing it on this side, when we have that bullish crossover, right? So that basically indicates if we are going to see a switch around in the trend that we've got going on at the moment in terms of the midterm for Rune, then we're probably going to see some resistance, and we're probably going to see a not a very long uptrend, unless we can break it and form some sort of big spike in buying power from there, right? In my opinion, I don't see it happening. I can see us basically trickling down from here. Yeah, that's kind of me on Rune right now in terms of the midterm for Rune. In terms of the long term, let's go to the short term. Let's go to the short term for you scalpers out there. Same sort of thing, really. In terms of support, we're actually kind of trying to find support on this 17.3 mark here. Some H2O. 17.3 mark here. We're trying to find support. If we can find support on that, then we are going to come up and test this this trend line that we've got going on here, right? And then if we do get a swift rejection from there, we'll be coming down to test this level of support again. And if we do break that, we could be looking at some sort of position, right? If we come up and test this trend line here, and I can see some nice price action here, and some nice trends to the downside, but we are seriously oversold here, near enough on the short term here. So that would really need to become up a lot more central before I'm thinking about short position, because if we are going to come down on the RSI here, we need a reversal, right? We need a reversal, and that'll basically mean we're going to come test this level of support on the lower side, and basically come up from there, and then we're not going to get that measure move. Obviously, we're not going to complete the measure move, but we're aiming for that 10%, right? We're aiming for that 10%. In terms of a short for Rune, if we can come up and retest this this channel here, right? So that's definitely something to think about. A position potentially for Rune there, right? Now let me move to Stellar. We'll go for the long term to start off with. Very messy, very messy indeed. Let me get rid of some of these. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Obviously, this is my 5th stream, so yeah, bear with me. I am trying to improve every day. I do stream Monday to Friday in the morning. I want to build some sort of community, and we can all trade together in the morning. I will be setting up a Discord, so we can all basically talk to each other 24/7 all morning while trading. If there's any other traders out there, the Discord's not quite set up yet, but that's kind of the goal, right? Obviously, it's 5th day streaming. I'm trying to improve, trying to get better, more professional. Struggling to get my point across at this point, I believe. Some people are telling me otherwise, but I am trying to continuously improve, right? But yeah, so if you want to trade with me every morning, you want to hit that subscribe button, right? You want to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, so you know when I'm going live, you know when I'm releasing my videos, because I do emergency updates, and I also do altcoin gems, right? Some altcoin gems, and I do the research on them, so you guys don't have to. And we do get some insane percents on them potentially coming through in the future, right? They're definitely hodl coins, right? Some like the one I did yesterday with serious gains on that, right? Back to Stellar, right? Back to Stellar. And also, guys, if you can hit that thumbs up, turn that thumbs up blue, helps me out tremendously if you are enjoying the stream. Yeah, that would help me out tremendously. And I did actually just hit 20 subscribers, which is brilliant. So yeah, thank you guys for that. If you did hit that subscribe button, right? Obviously, I'm a new guy on the block, need a helping hand here, right? As you can see, we do have this upwards price channel, right? We do have this upwards price channel, this rising price channel, and we are currently testing the 55 moving average on the long term. This is the daily chart. If you guys want to bring this up, this is the daily chart. The next point of support is 0.56, right? 0.56 cents for Stellar here. We did see an all-time high of nearly 80 cents. Then he said $80, nearly 80 cents there, which is just crazy for Stellar, right? But as you can see, it was a bit of a fake, right? We did fake it. We did see some sort of traps coming in. So anyone who entered their long, looking for a measure move, looking like this, right? Looking for a measure move to the upside, then you got stopped out. You got clean stopped, right? You got cleanly stopped out because you'd have entered in your long positions, and then the price, as you can see here, it dumped off an absolute cliff, and then that's bang, straight stop out because you would have had your stop, you would have your stop loss just below this trend line, or you would have had it at this level of support here, right? Or just below that, and yet it smashed through all of them, basically stopping anyone out who went long on not one occasion, but 2 occasions, okay? So that's why I always wait for a retest. Look at what's happening here, because as you see, we did come down, we retested, but we do have this dominant level here that we obviously see a lot of rejection from. So that's an indication why I wouldn't have gone long there. But in terms of what I think could happen for Stellar right now, we've actually come down quite a bit. In terms of the RSI, that's obviously the daily. Oh, that's not right. All gone wrong now. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, let me add the RSI back. There we go. Yeah, and we're back in the game. Right, in terms of the RSI, right now on the daily, we do have these dominant highs, these absolute dominant highs for Stellar right now that we are probably not looking at testing anytime soon, I don't think. But if we are going to come up, if the price is going to come up and we are going to see some sort of all-time high be created there, then we are going to have to get over this dominant trend line, right? This dominant trend line that we've got coming down. This dominant trend line that we've got coming down, right? And that basically indicates why we basically fizzled out at the top here and why we got rejected, because we were respecting this on the RSI. So in order for us to get there again, we do need to break this trend line on the RSI here, and that we'll basically need to do that to form some sort of all-time high there. But that basically it's another indication that we're not going to see this measure move get completed, right? If we're going to see this measure move get completed, then we are going to need to wait for a break on the RSI in terms of buying power, right? And this is obviously for the daily, right? In terms of buying power for the RSI that we've got going on here, then we are going to need some buying power to the upside, some serious buying power actually to even get there, right? Now, in terms of the MACD for the daily, right? In terms of the MACD for the daily, we've got these dominant trends, right? We've got these dominant trends coming down. And we are in this downtrend at the moment. We are in this downtrend, but we do have a lower low here. So I can basically see us probably setting a lower high and then a lower high from here, and basically seeing some sort of trend play out like this, right? And that's an indication that we are going to come down and potentially lose the support that we have on this 56 level, right? We are going to come down, potentially lose the support we have on this 56 level, and potentially lose the support that we have on this 55 moving average here. And that could be an indication that we come down and test the lower side of this channel, right? Obviously, this is the daily. It's not going to be overnight. It is going to happen over the course of a few weeks or a week or so. So it's definitely something to take into account if you're trading Stellar on the long term or the short term, right? But yeah, if we switch to the short term for Stellar right now, straight away I can see some sort of channel coming down. As you can see, let me see if I can get that going. Yeah, some sort of channel coming down like so. Not like the most confirmed thing in the world, right? Not the most confirmed thing in the world, but we are finding support on the lower side of this trend line here. And we do have this volume weighted ATR band to back us up on the short term, right? And obviously we see respect on that continuously, right? We see respect on that continuously. If we don't see respect on it, we do. Obviously, it's the green one and the red one at the top here for you guys that don't know. If we don't see respect on it, we trend below it, right? We trend below it until we retest it. So it could be a potential short position if we are to lose this volume weighted ATR band. That is the wrong tool. Yep. If we are to lose this volume weighted ATR band, we are looking at a nice short position there. We obviously, you have no indication of how low it's going to go here. So in terms of just a signal and just using the RSI, you would be getting out of your trade when
we come up and we basically retest the RSI, and likewise here, right? We'd have basically got in, got out, and it'd have been near enough break even there. But yeah, so we do, going back to the point of the I think I keep saying RSI, the volume weighted ATR band here. Volume weighted ATR band here, and we do obviously find that support on it, so that's definitely something to think about when coming down in this channel right now. In terms of supports that we're trying to break here, we are trying to break this level of support at 56. We did test it, but then we came up and we broke this level of resistance at 57, but we got swiftly rejected from there again, right? So it's just a bit of a consolidation period right now for Stellar itself. I can see it coming down, to be honest. I can see it coming down and testing this volume weighted ATR band. And that's the most likely thing for it to do, in my opinion, because I rely on the volume weighted ATR band quite a bit, actually. And we do see right here, we do see a trend. We do see a nice little trend coming down from the MACD here. The downtrend on the MACD, we're setting lower highs continuously. So it's an indication we could be having a bullish crossover anytime soon, right? Bullish crossover anytime soon, and seeing the confirmation of a trend coming down like this, right? Bullish confirmation coming over soon. Seeing a trend here, setting a high low on the MACD here, and that would basically mean we're going to find a nice level of support on these supports and resistance lines here, right? We're going to find a nice level of support, potentially come up, test this 21 moving average that we've got going on here. As you can see, we do see some swift rejections from that, and that's when I can see on the MACD we basically come up, confirm this trend here, hit this trend line, right? Then we're going to see a nice switch in the trend, and then we're going to see a bearish crossover on the MACD there, and bearish crossover, and then we're going to basically see this trend come down and test this line. I mean, it could mean a consolidation period for this point even more. Obviously, depending on how high we're going to go, here. But in terms of a position right now for Stellar, I'm pretty staying clear, right? I'm pretty going to stay clear until we're looking like we're going to break this pattern, right? Until we're going to break this channel, because as I said there, it looks like pretty consolidation period. There's not a lot going on. It looks like both trends are going to kind of fizzle out, and we're basically going to bounce around these horizontal supports and resistance lines for quite a while, right? For quite a while. In terms of what I think what could actually happen, like right here, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, right? Like that. Nothing great. Nothing good. No potential great trades there. We're looking for those swing trades, not those scalps, right? But yeah, if I'm looking for a trade in the future, we'd be looking at some sort of measure move if we are to break this channel, right? If we are to break this channel, the measure move to the upside would be looking something along the lines of this. If I can select the right thing, yeah. Look, obviously, depending on where we're going to break, we could be looking at testing, not testing an all-time high yet, but testing this level of resistance at 0.76. As obviously, we need some buying power in the market for that to happen, right? And in order for that to happen, we need Bitcoin to sort itself out, right? Sort itself out and get out of the rabbit hole that it's been trying to dig for long, right? Dig for long. But yeah, in terms of a downwards measure move, we're looking at something like this. But as I said, I can't see us breaking this volume weighted ATR band on the hourly, right? Can't see us breaking it on the hourly, but it does line up perfectly with the 4 hourly, right? Does line up perfectly with the 4 hourly. So if we are going to have some insane momentum towards the downside, then we could be looking at the absolute bottom being around 40 cents there. So that is a lot of things to take into account there. But that is basically Stellar, and that's not quite. I'm not going to be entering no positions there, but in terms of percentages for these positions, as and when we get there, we're looking at nice gains there. 18% gains there to the upside, and to the downside, we're looking at 22%, right? But if we're looking at 22%, I'd be pretty nervous, and we'd have to break this volume weighted ATR band to see that gain basically play out, right? But if that is going to play out, we are going to see a nice take profit, probably at this level of support here, right? Probably at 0.42. Probably wouldn't ride it all the way down because that's pretty greedy in my opinion. But by that point that we're down there, this volume weighted ATR band might have come up and be dead in line, parallel with this level of support here. Indication of where to take profit. In terms of stop loss, I just have it back in that channel, right? Back in that channel, because if we reclaim the channel, 90% of the time we reclaim the channel, reverse the trend, and go from there. But it is dumping at the moment. It is going down at this point in time. We're not actually finding support on this line here, on this horizontal support line. So there's an indication that we could come down, but as you can see, we are oversold on the RSI ever so gradually on the hourly time frame, right? Now let's have a look. What's doing it at the moment, right? Matic's coming down for a retest, as we said earlier. Matic's coming down for a retest. That's good news, in my opinion. If we go to that time frame that we've got going on here, right? This time frame that we've got going on here, we're looking at a completion of that measure move, right? Looking at, this is for scalpers, right? Looking at the completion of this measure move that we've got going on here. Did it. We'd have take profit at this 200 moving average here. In terms of a trade, we'd have been looking at a nice 2% scalp there, right? I'm not a scalper myself, so this is something I'm not going to get into. God, it is dumping. Yeah, so definitely something to think about. Hopefully, in my opinion, we can break this volume weighted ATR band and break this 200 moving average that we've got here. By the looks of it, we are smashing through them right now. And then I'd be looking at a nice rebound on the $2.19, $2.20 mark, obviously depending on where we're going for this candle. And we are actually only near enough, not even 15 minutes into this candle for Matic here, and we are falling off a cliff, right? In terms of percent for this candle from open to close, we're looking at literally a 5% loss at this point in time. 5% down, downwards momentum. So yeah, we're looking at that. I am going to be rounding off the stream fairly soon, guys. But if you're liking what I'm doing, hit that like button. Helps me out tremendously. Turn that thumbs up blue. And if you want to see me, brilliant. That'd have been my position entry. Great. Yeah, if you like what I'm doing, hit that thumbs up button. Click that subscribe button, and we could trade together every morning. Trying to build some sort of community here. But I'd just like to say thank you for tuning into the stream today. I will be here tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow morning from around, I'd like to start the stream from 8:30 to 9:30, obviously depending on factors of the morning, right? What's going on in the morning, whether my audio sounds good. Obviously, I'm still trying to play around with it. It's my 5th stream, so bear with me. I'm trying to improve continuously. But yeah, I'd just like to say I will be releasing a video later on today. So get ready for that. And if you don't want to miss that, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you never miss one of my uploads there. But yeah, that is going to be the stream today, guys. I'll recap about BTC. Okay, I'll do a little recap. I'll do a little summary, right? I did stream for 3 hours yesterday, so I don't really want to be going on for that long because it did really tire me out, right? It really tired me out. And we have been going for nearly 2 hours here, right? But as you can see, BTC, what happened yesterday, we did actually dump through the floor, right? We did actually dump through the floor, and the measure move that we were looking for at completion was around this level, right? Was around this level. I was asleep when this happened, so I didn't get in short. If you did get in short, you would have been looking at a nice 6, near enough 6%. I'm really going to speed this up now. We're near enough 6-7% there. So that'd be kind of the short term for Bitcoin. If we are going to be setting a lower low for Bitcoin, we are going to see not finding the support on this volume weighted ATR band here. This is the green line here. If we can find support on that, then I could be looking at us coming up, testing this 21 moving average we've got here. But at this point in time for Bitcoin, we do not want a lower low. If we get a lower low, the trend is going to be continuing, right? We do not want that lower low. And in order to get past that lower low, we need to break this level of support that we've got here. It is crucial that we claim this volume weighted ATR band. Otherwise, I can see us basically coming down even further. In terms of the RSI, quickly, we actually have got this dominant trend line that we did get rejected off yesterday. In terms of buying power here, that's the wrong tool. In terms of, that's switched around, yeah. In terms of buying power here, and this is what I said, right? I did say yesterday on my stream, look, I can see us getting rejected off this 55 moving average here, coming down, testing the bottom side of this price channel, right? Bottom side of this price channel. And that happened, right? We got to the oversold point. We actually started selling loads of Bitcoin last night. It was absolutely crazy. The price actually dropped off a cliff. But if we are going to see us come up, reclaim this volume weighted ATR band, we're going to need to see us come up and tap this RSI trend line. And hopefully, we need to break it, right? We need to break it to see a reversal in that trend, to see that confirmation of the reversal in the trend, right? But at this point in time, we are in a downtrend on the MACD, and this is obviously the short term. We're in a downtrend on the MACD for the short term here. Hopefully, we don't see it break lower. If we get a lower low and we don't respect this horizontal point here for the MACD here, we could be looking at a new trend cycle. And for me, that's not good for Bitcoin in terms of lower lows, because we could be just seeing the price dump, and obviously that is going to dump all of the altcoins as well. And in terms of crypto in general, that's not good. It's not good for crypto. But in terms of, right, that's the summary on the short term. Let's jump to the midterm here. We do have this wedge. We do have this 4-day channel that we've got going on here. Really trying to speed it up. We do have a giant wedge here. We do have a giant wedge on this. That's the wrong tool. We have a giant wedge on this. On the midterm going on here, right? The giant wedge on this midterm going on here, and we have broken it to the downside, right? I did say the measure move to the downside for this giant wedge would be looking something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this to the downside, and we'd basically be coming down to a 32, 32k, near enough, just under 33, right? That'd be the measure move down. In terms of a percent for that measure move down, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, 27%, but that, for me, is pretty unlikely to happen because I don't see Bitcoin going that low. But I didn't see Bitcoin going this low, right? We do have this channel that we are currently respecting in terms of this trend line. If we lose this trend line, measure move down from there would look something along the lines of this. And in terms of percent for that trade, if we are to lose it, obviously don't get in as soon as we lose it. I'd be getting in somewhere around on the retest, but it would be a 15% gain in terms of a short position, right? Definitely something to think about for the midterm for Bitcoin. In terms of the RSI, same sort of scenario, right? Same sort of scenario as the short term. We do need to come up and test this trend line in terms of upwards momentum, and we are near enough oversold here. We are near enough oversold, so that indicates a reversal in the price, right? So that basically means we're potentially going to respect this trend line here, right? Moving on to the MACD. Really trying to speed this up. Moving on to the MACD here. We are actually currently testing this trend line here, depending on where we're going to fall, in terms of where we're going to actually fall and complete this trend. If we are going to break this trend line here, then we are going to potentially move it like this. So, because obviously this is the dominant trend line from this higher high here. So we are going to be creating some lower low. If we don't create a low, if we don't create a lower high and we do create a lower low here, we could be looking at completion of that measure move, which I did just draw there. If I can get that drawn on that tiny space. Yeah, tiny space there, right? Yeah. So we could be looking at a lower high being formed on this MACD here, potentially looking like something like this in terms of a trend cycle that we've got going on, and that would indicate a completion of this measure move here, right? Definitely something to think about when trading Bitcoin on the midterm, right? Straight to the long term, because I really want to round this up here. Near enough 2 hours here. I was planning for doing an hour and a half, but we got there for 2 hours again. Did 3 hours yesterday. I aim for like an hour and a half to around 2 hours every day, right? Don't want to over push myself, right? Because it's pretty tiring talking for 2 hours, right? Pretty tiring. But yeah, as you can see here, this is the bull market barrier. We did explain this on yesterday's stream. I won't be explaining it now. If you want to learn more about it, jump to the start of the stream, right? And you can learn more about it as I do explain it as we go, right? We are currently turning red on this bull market barrier, and that does indicate that we are falling into a bear market, but we could be looking at a reversal in the price, a bounce up, and this could be literally, as I said before, a shakeout in the market, shaking all the new people out in the market thinking, oh God, we need to sell, we need to get rid of all of this because they've lost hope because they don't think it's very reliable, right? So we could be seeing a reverse, and this isn't exact confirmation that we're going into a bear market right now. It's not exact confirmation, but it is an indication that we could be, right? So be aware, be prepared, and Bitcoin has just dumped, right? Just absolutely dumped, right? So yeah, be aware, be prepared. Hopefully you don't see any lower lows because that is obviously just a confirmation of the trend progressing from there. Let me talk about my little stop out quickly from yesterday. I did get in a long here just as we closed this blue box zone. I'm transparent about my positions. I'm not going to say, I didn't get in this long, I didn't get stopped out. No, I got in the long, I got stopped out. It was only about a 5% stop out, I do believe. Yeah, 5% stop out, I do believe. Yeah, just about there. Just over 5% stop out, just over 5.5%. But you can't win every trade, right? If we're making 20% trades on the other altcoins, that's enough to cover a nice little a punt into Bitcoin in a sense, right? But obviously, as you can see, if we are in a bear market, right, this indicator is in a sense, it reverses, right? Every time we lose a blue box zone here, we're going to be entering short and we're going to be taking profit at all of these yellow lines as we go, right? So this would have been a great position to the downside. Obviously, I was asleep last night, so I didn't see this happening. But if I'd have seen this happening, I would have probably gotten a short just after this line here, after all these wicks had happened, and probably rode the wave down, right? That would have been great in terms of percentages. But right now, in terms of a bounce for Bitcoin, I could potentially see us bouncing at around 36. Hopefully we bounce to 36 and start a progression. We wave up from there, reclaim this bull market barrier that we've got going on here. That's not the right tool. Reclaim this bull market barrier that we've got going on here, and basically see us progress up from there and basically continue this juicy bull run where we're making those extreme gains on these cryptocurrencies here, right? That's going to be the stream. That's the summary for Bitcoin, right? Let's jump back to Matic quickly. Yep, that's the position that I would have got in. Really annoying. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into my stream. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll try and stream a bit early. I was a bit late today. I couldn't set up my audio properly, but I think it's getting there now in terms of I hope it's okay. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all here tomorrow, and stay tuned for my video, my video that I've got launching
at around 2 o'clock. Around 2 o'clock, I'm going to put out another video. Potentially an emergency alert, potentially an altcoin, right? Stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe bell if you don't want to miss one of my uploads. And yeah, me signing out. I will see you all later. See you tomorrow. Peace out, guys. Thank you very much.